welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here today. My name's Erdly. I'm the founder of the Resilient Retail Club, and I'm here with a fantastic panel to talk all about conscious consumerism and the rise of ethical retail. So before we get into it, I'd just like to introduce, with us today on the sofa, we have Alice Ojeda, who runs the Authentic House. We have Anna and Dani, who are co-founders of Positive Retail, and we also have Aïcha Lada, who's the founder of Katiopae. And what I'm going to ask each person to do one by one is to introduce a little bit more about their businesses, what they do, and then also to tell us what does it mean to be a conscious, curated brand in 2022. So, Aïcha, let's start off with you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aïcha, and I'm the founder of Katiopae. And sorry for my French accent, I'm from Switzerland, the French part. So if you don't understand what I mean, that's it. I'm sorry. Yes, so I started Katiopae 6 years ago when I went to Ghana. To volunteer. So the goal was to learn a little bit more about African culture. And I have discovered a lot when I went on that trip. So I discovered adding croissant balls, a lot of, cultural stuffs. And I was very amazed about everything, but I also was very upset because I didn't know about all of that. So I said to myself, what should I do about everything that I learned here? And the goal for me with Katiopae was to tell stories and cultural, stories about this culture that I didn't know about, but through my jewelry. So that's why I started Katiopae. And this has been 6 years now.
Fantastic. Thank you. Alice, would you like to tell us more?
Hi everyone, I'm Alice. I am the co-founder of Authentic House, which is a plastic-free online shop and eco-friendly subscription box based in Cardiff. I started it as part of my own journey of wanting to find a more purposeful life, and it was around the time of Blue Planet 2, learning about the impact of our plastic waste, and as I went on that journey, I started to share that with customers, and that was 3.5 years ago, and here we are today, just still a small business. So we have our own packing room, and it's the two of us, and we keep it quite small, really. But when it comes to what is a consciously curated store, I would like to think of it more as a person. So a consciously curated store is the person that realizes it's not all about them. They are not the only thing. They look at themselves as part of a bigger network within the world. And they know that they have an impact, and they know that maybe they can contribute something beyond themselves. So it is a person you'd like to know.
Who goes first?
Over to you two.
Hi, I'm Dani, and this is Anna, and we are co-founders of Positive Retail. Our business is a resale fashion business where we work with individual sellers on a consignment model, and we also work with retailers and brands to manage their dead stock. So curation to us is incredibly key to everything that we do. Curation has allowed us to become a brand and not just a transactional retailer. So it brings the identity of the brand. It helps us connect with the consumer that we want to engage. So that's what that means to us.
Yeah. And I think we were both buyers on the high street for a long time, so for kind of 20 years. And I think we had sort of been feeling uneasy for a long time with mass production. So, our store is consciously curated within an inch of its life.
Wonderful. Well, what we're going to be doing for about the next 20 minutes or so is we're going to be looking at how do you create a consciously curated business? What does it mean? How do you go beyond a values and a mission statement? And we're going to be looking at some practical tips to help you apply to your business in 2022 and beyond. We're also going to do questions at the end, so we'll be wrapping things up right around 4 o'clock, but we will still be around afterwards if you want to come up and ask questions then. So most of what we'll be doing for this session will be hearing from our fantastic panel of experts. So Anna and Dani, let's start with you then. When it comes to conscious consumerism, or this idea of having a conscious brand, what is it that customers are looking for? And obviously, as you said, you guys have got years and years of experience in the industry. How do you think it's changed over time?
For us, I think a huge thing is around social media and digital, and the access to information that we get, that consumers get. This opens up so much more to a brand. We've lived in a time where it's literally been, pre-internet, where it's literally been, you go into the store, you buy your item, it's very much about the product, and you leave, and that's kind of it. But now we want to know more. We want to understand where we're buying from as consumers, and that access to information from social media has just accelerated that. So for us, it's like this emotional connection is now hugely important. And it's a way that obviously people want to buy and then invest in that brand and trust them, and go on a longer journey. So yeah, I don't know whether you want to add.
Yeah, and we were talking before, like people want to align their principles with you as well, consciously. So it's not, we were talking about, years ago when you used to go into Topshop on a Saturday afternoon for a new outfit. It just doesn't feel like the customer connects like that anymore. It's, people want to know where their money's being spent as well properly, and what's behind that, and what's behind the brand and the values. So,
do you think they're asking more questions?
Yeah, definitely. Quite rightly. Yeah, definitely.
And Aïcha, one of the big issues when we talk about things like brand purpose or about the idea of a conscious or ethical brand is that obviously ethics and purpose, they're very personal. And so where customers want to align with your ethics and values, how do you actually go about communicating the purpose behind your brand and actually explaining in a way what it is that it makes it purpose-led or conscious?
So for my brand, if I started Katiopae, it was a need, I think, for the African community to get together for a shared story or history, and also to reconnect with our Africanity. So because of colonization, a lot of African history has been, how can I say that?
Lost
Or a lot of misinformation. So yeah, the goal for me was to deconstruct everything, not everything, but some of them, and also try to reconnect with the truth within African history and African authors, and yes, simply talk about what we don't really see in the book now at school or university. So yeah, that was the goal for me, to really be a cultural brand with the purpose of telling true stories of Africa. So when I talk with my clients, they're really interested in what I'm bringing to them regarding the African story and culture. So it's very important for them that when I sell in my jewelry, I always have a detail about African history or culture. Yeah.
And do you almost have like a mission statement or something that you explain this this desire to represent the truth? Do you have it really spelled out so that people understand that's what you're doing?
Yes, they do. And I think the whole point is to be authentic. So it's just me. It's natural for me to do that. I did my studies in sociology, so it's all about deconstruction, miseducation, yeah, and really looking for the truth. And people see that when I try to, yes, even when I'm looking for information and try to tell them that, they can see if it's really me or I'm trying just to yes, just make some branding. So they see
Right.
that it's not some branding, it's really natural. So that's what they're looking for, really.
So they're looking for something that goes right the way down to the root of what you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something straightforward and authentic, and yes, gathering about something that they really care about, because we can see that history is very important in every culture. People who don't know their culture feel lost, so they feel uncomfortable and unsure about them. So that's what I want to do about my jewelry. That when they wear my jewelry, they wear history and they can talk about it. So yeah, that
Connects them.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So Alice, let's talk a little bit about sustainability. Do you have any kind of guiding principles or easy ways that people can incorporate sustainability principles into their businesses?
Yes, and I think it's something I've evolved over time. So I certainly would not see sustainability in the same way now as I would have seen it when I began, because you have to keep learning as you go. I think a good way to start is think, what are you offering to your customers? Because I'm sure as retailers and shop owners, you will know what you have to offer. And then think, could you take that offering and offer it beyond your customers to the rest of the world? And in doing so, not for your purpose, but could you bring your customers along and help them make the change and say you're making the change together? So, for example, we started with helping customers reduce waste. So everything in our shop is plastic free or as plastic minimal as we can, and we push for that. We ask questions for that, and I have those criteria at the very heart of it. But then I realized I also wanted, but I was aware of the decline of the natural world, the climate crisis, and I wanted my customers to feel like their small changes were also making a bigger change too. And that's why we brought in planting a tree for every order. And even if sustainability is not at the real heart of your business, I think, say you help people create a more beautiful home through wonderful kind of artisan products. Well, can you look at other forms of home? Maybe you could do something about homelessness, or maybe you could help to protect our planet, which is our natural home, and make sure your products don't impact on nature. It's starting there and then using that to review your products and your offering and slowly moving to improve. You don't have to be perfect, but you need to make progress.
I think you raised a really big point there, because I think that's one of the things I know when I've spoken to people about sustainability, whether they're businesses or individuals. Sometimes people worry about starting down that journey, because almost once you say, like, I'm a sustainable business, then you're being held to kind of a certain level of expectation maybe that you wouldn't have been otherwise. But it's really interesting what you're saying there about just making small steps, because if everybody made small steps, then together we would make a difference, as opposed to trying to be perfect right from the get-go. And Anna and Dani, is that something you've experienced that in your journey is becoming a sustainable business?
Yeah, definitely. And we talked about this on the way down here, actually, about the fact that, we are all still learning together about how to kind of go forward in a conscious way, in a conscious consumer way. Yes, it is definitely something we think about.
And what do you think is a way, this is a general question to the panel, so in terms of how do you actually make a commitment to sustainability in a transparent way? Do you, so Aïcha, you were talking about how you have sort of a mission statement, but is it about that? Is it almost about creating a set of values that are visible to people outside the business as well, do you think?
We publicise our values, so we kind of have 3 pillars that we always kind of reference everything to. So, yeah, everything goes back to our community, collaboration and change.
And so those are the pillars that you've set out to create then the sort of transparency in your journey.
Yeah, and if we think about any brand content, anything that we do really, it just keeps coming back to that, and we find that as a circular point in the business. It brings synergy to the brand. It helps people understand what we're trying to achieve, what the values are, and it links into kind of every aspect of what we're doing. So it might even be the way we shoot the product, or anything like that, or sort of events that we're doing in store. Community's been really important to us because we opened a store in Ramsgate, and that was absolutely pinnacle, wasn't it, to the success and actually getting to know the community. And with resale, you are working directly with consumers, and you are educating them as well. So that's part of the process. Like so many people come in the store and say, "What is this? You know, what are you doing?" So it is that you do have to educate people, and it's nice to see more and more people like coming on the journey. So that's a nice part of the values aspect and really getting the word out.
And Alice, how about you for your business? Do you have a sort of manifesto, as it were?
Yeah, I'd say Authentic House is similar to Positive Retail in that because sustainability is so at the heart of what we do, everything we stock is about, reducing your waste, your impact. So all the stories I tell, the emails, social media, it runs throughout. One thing I've been thinking of, which I haven't done yet, is I've seen more small businesses becoming B Corps. And that is interesting because that gives, first I thought it was just the big businesses doing it, but it gives customers an understanding that you are not greenwashing, because I think consumers are getting a lot more knowledgeable about that. And I heard that becoming a B Corp is not easy. I looked at the prices, it's not necessarily cheap either, but I'm wondering if this year we need to do that as well, to have that third-party seal of approval.
So do you think there is a growing cynicism, as it were, with customers about the idea that marketers can use sustainability as a selling tool?
Definitely.
Aïcha, is that something that you've seen over? You said you've been running your business for 6 years now, so has that changed?
Yes, definitely. And now, and that's why I was talking about authenticity, because I think customers can feel it. They can feel when it's very branding or when it's very natural, or coming really from the heart, I would say, from really willing to change the things. But in my brand, for example, the consciousness comes with history, but it also comes with the community I'm working with. So they're all artisans. They're all small businesses that are working for me, and they're also using ancestral techniques that are very also natural. Everything is handmade and very eco-friendly. So yes, my customer really like this, and they can see it through the images. They can see it. Yes, they have the proofs that it's really going on. It's not something that are just fake and that I'm trying to make them think that I'm doing to make them buy my stuffs. So yeah, it's really important to be authentic and trying to show that to our customers. Yeah.
Anna and Dani, how do you find that in your business? How do you communicate that in a transparent way to your customers about your kind of sustainability?
Yeah, I think we're the same. We believe that you do have to be open and honest. And I know we touched on this earlier about we're not all 100% perfect on this sustainability journey. But if you're open and honest with your audience, if you engage in that way, you totally humanize like the brand as well, and people respect that, and they find that connection with you. Everything to do with the brand as well that we've created has been about that, about
trust, really, and gaining people's trust, because as Dan said, we're starting out, we're not going to get everything perfect, and it's having open conversations with your community as well. Yeah.
So we touched very briefly earlier on of sort of one of the things about becoming a sustainable business is then you've got that level of expectation. So what do you think happens with sustainable businesses or businesses that pitch themselves as purpose-led or consciously curated? What happens when they don't meet customers' expectations? Alice, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, actually, it makes me think because just a couple of days ago, there was a case with Tony's Chocolonely, which is a brand of chocolate that's pitched around being slave-free. And they were reviewing their supply chain. And if I know this right, they found that there might have been some slavery in that supply chain, and they were looking into it. but they did it in a really transparent way. And another eco-friendly brand tried to call them out on that in a very harsh way, and they themselves got a backlash because the customers behind Chocolonely rallied and said, you were transparent, you made the mistake, and you talked about it. I think there's danger, though, where you don't look for mistakes because someone else will find them for you.
Like, I think, though, in this space, in this kind of conscious space, I will say that the support that you get as a business in this space versus perhaps how we used to feel in our old jobs, there is so much more positivity around it. So yes, you might get it wrong, and yes, there might be cases where people want to tear down specific brands for getting it wrong. But isn't it good that people kind of are starting these businesses in the first place and are, encouraging conscious consumerism? Yeah.
So do you think people are more, if you are being seen to be doing your best and doing it in a transparent way, then that can be a positive?
Yeah, and it is about creating and building trust. If our customers, I hope, know that they come to us and that number one, we've consciously curated the store, but that they know that me and Dani live by the principles that we are guiding the business with. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, just final thoughts then before we come into our summary. But who are your favourite purpose-led brands and what do you think they're doing well? Aïcha, should we start with you?
Actionable Market. It's something like you two do. Very, very good brand. They're trying to create brands that work with artisans in Africa. So everything in their store is very sustainable and very eco-friendly. So I really, really appreciate what they do for African artisans. Really, they're doing a great job enlightening their work, ancestral and traditional craftsmanship, and also just trying to support different communities. So very, very good brand, Actionable Market.
Okay. Alice?
This is outside of retail, but I really like yoga with Adrian, and I've been doing that all through the pandemic. And I feel like that is an example of a brand, though, where you've got this personality at the center who talks about her purpose. She's very service-based. Like, it's all about helping. And I've joined the Find What Feels Good community, and it's a feeling of giving. It's a feeling of a brand that never stops giving to people and to its customers as well.
We've been recently working with Hakel's, and it's another Thanet local brand as well, which is amazing. And we were lucky enough to go and visit their offices, which also function as kind of where they develop the products. So it was a total education. We kind of went in there and got a total tour of how the brand works, everything they're doing, which is incredibly sustainable. But the thing that sort of grabbed us the most was, as small businesses, you can think about keeping it local and, keeping things sustainable in that way. But to scale a business, how do you achieve that? If there's distance, if there's, shipping, if there's all that kind of logistics. And they are scaling the business. They are going to be in the likes of Sydney and Sri Lanka. And they're just taking the ethos that they're using in Margate and literally replicating it in those countries. Oh, wow. So they're using all the natural resources from the sea. So they use a lot of seaweed products, which will come locally from the sea. And all local people will work in those head offices and stores. So we thought that was great because it's something that, as a small business, you do think, right, then how would you scale this? Like, what are the challenges there?
So they're growing globally, but creating local hubs.
And without losing the community aspect of what creates, like, both of a local business,
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. So just to wrap things up then, we wanted to just focus back on then, if people watching, thinking about how could you make your own business more conscious focused. So first things first, she says, whoa. And feel free to jump in on any of these points to the panel. So first up is defining what your business stands for. So as we said, this whole idea about values, about conscious consumerism, that is all very, very personal. So make sure you understand what it means to you, because the clearer you are what it means to you, then the clearer you can be for your customers, right? Secondly, we've talked about this a lot, and Aïcha, I think it was your word of the panel, being authentic. So being really clear with your customers, being authentic, making sure that people are very suspicious of greenwashing. There was some stats recently from the Chartered Institute of Marketing where they talked about 73% of consumers are suspicious of greenwashing claims, so sustainability claims. So making sure that you're authentic, almost radical transparency is a term I hear sometimes I think is probably applicable. If in doubt, over-communicate. And then third step, engaging the consumers on a deeper level. So I think Anna and Dani, particularly that's what you were talking about with your local community and the educational piece. Aïcha as well with you and your artisans, and Alice with everything that you're selecting for your business. Almost then being co-creators with your audience, asking them what they want, asking them what they want to see. Fantastic. Well, it just remains for me to thank everybody for coming and to thank my wonderful panel, Anna, Dani, Aïcha and Alice. And we will be here for a few more minutes if you've got any questions you want to come up and ask us, but otherwise, good luck. And said, better to start small and do it imperfectly than to not start at all.